Hey everyone, OneSpitten here with another battle report. So I brought out my Beastmen again, and this game represents the first of 4 games that I played last weekend. So I'll have a slew of reports up in the near future, all of them using my Beastmen. This was a watchtower scenario. We decided that instead of using a building as the watchtower, we would just put a hill with a marker in the middle of it, and you had to be within a few inches of the marker to claim the watchtower scenario. So he went ahead and put some crossbows on that hill. Starting to the left, he has some harpies. He's got a big unit of blackguard, and he's got a lord. He didn't have a copy of his list that I could take with me, but just the lord was killy. Then between that unit and the unit of spear elves to the right of it, or warriors, I guess, he has a level 2 with a lore of fire. And then in that big unit of warriors, he also has a level 4 on the front row right-hand side with a lore of shadow. And she has something which was giving her, no, she has the stabby dagger or whatever it's called. But basically, if she can stab a dark elf and generate another power die. Anyway, up in front of them are some shades. To the right of them are just a big bad unit of Cold One Knights. They have, let's see, 11 of them plus a BSB, I believe. I know there's 6 wide. And then the far right, he's got some fast cav. So on my far right, a lot of my placement was done to make sure that he couldn't put his shades behind me. So I have a Razor Gore over here represented by the Dragon Ogre model. 5 Ungor Raiders. They're in the lower left-hand corner. I have a level 1 with the Lore of Beasts. He has a Dispel Scroll. Then in the lower right here, I have another level 1 Lore of Beasts, and this one has the Herdstone, and there in the middle of this picture is the Herdstone. The woods were the ones at the end of the movement phase. You roll a d6, and you might take d6 wounds. So I had to keep my initial plan was to put my wizards in there, and then once we found out what the woods were, I didn't want them in there. So anyway, to the left of the Herdstone, I've got a unit of Gore, 25 of them with 2 characters. The front row, just left of middle, is my level 4 Lore of Shadow, Talisman of Preservation, Great Brave Shaman. And then on the far left is my Beast Lord with the outfitted, as you can see below. So this is like one of the reasons I play Beastmen. I love this build on him. He is just really, he can put the hurt on some things. Back behind them I have Bestigors, and the main thing I want my Bestigors to do this game is to take on his Cold One Knights, and so I think I have plenty of time to get them up without having to deal with the woods or spreading my troops out too much. So to the left of my general's unit, I have 2 of the Tuskor chariots, and behind them I have a unit of 6 Minotaurs, full command, and the champion has the Golden Sigil sword. Now the reason I usually don't take a champion, but the reason I did is I wanted to give him that sword just because it seems like every now and then it might be helpful to have magical attacks in that unit and maybe to have initiative 10 on the champion. So I thought I would give that a try. By the way, the Bestigors have the Flaming Banner. And then here on the left I have another unit of Gore, again 25 with a character. I have a War Gore, and all he has is the 4-up ward save. To the left of them I have another Razor Gore. Those Ungor Raiders in the swamp are not placed there. They're in ambush. And on the far left I have another Razor Gore. And again, and this is because I don't need his shades getting behind my lines. Between his harpies, his shades, and his dark riders, he has a lot of tools with which to mess with my Herdstone and my 2 level 1s hanging out back there. So some of the things I did were in reaction to that. So I actually get to go first, which normally playing Bretonnia is just so unusual. So thought I'd start off with a bang. If you look in the top middle, my general's unit I think needed a 10 to get to his shades, and I thought I'd go for it. There's really nothing to lose. If I couldn't get there, I was just going to try to keep my battle lines pretty even anyway, so a failed charge wouldn't be a big deal. And if I get there, I can get the shades out of the way, and then after that I'm just going to have to flee from any charge he directs at me, so I can, because I don't think I could stand up to all the hurt he could put on that unit. So anyway, they charge, lose a few, but they get in contact with the shades. Over here, I decided to take a chariot to charge the bows. He gave me 38 shots and killed it, and everybody passed their panic. So then I charged with the other chariot and he fled. It could be that I charged the other chariot he held, and then I charged with my gore and then he fled. But he did something like, something along those lines. And at the end of the day, I realized, wow, he gave up nothing, and I lost a chariot. So I thought that was a very good move on his part. So here's a huge mistake I made in this game. I don't think it was a mistake to charge the shades, but I have my level 4 in the front row, and if you look at my Beast Lord, he's in the front row. He's actually not even in combat. And so what I did was during the magic phase, I think I went for Occam's Mind Razor or something like that. It wasn't just so I could kill these shades. It was so that if he charged me in his turn, I could just rip through him, or it may just keep him from charging me in his turn. So anyway, I think I got the spell off, and he dispel scrolled it, or he just dispelled it. Either way, it didn't go off. Magic phase is over. During combat, I moved my Beast Lord into combat. In hindsight, I think the smarter thing to do was to cast several spells, very low-level spells, hoping to get just one of them off, and then swap my Great Brave Shaman with my Beast Lord to protect him, to get him out of combat. I wasn't really thinking about it. His guys are strength 3, I'm toughness 5. He would have to do 3 wounds on me. I think I'll be okay. But I wasn't protecting my Shaman very much. Anyway, over here the Razor Gore charges fast cav. He did a stand and shoot. He didn't wound me. I failed to charge, and we're just sitting there. The Ungor Raiders come in anywhere I want to, so I bring them right behind his lines, and they're just going to shoot at that level 2 Laura Fire Mage. I don't expect to do a whole lot there, but what else am I going to do with these guys? So after combat, yeah, that really hurt. He directed as many attacks as he could at my level 4 and killed him. He needed 6s to wound. Darn it. And he killed him. He only has one of his shades left. It fled. I restrained, and the shade is sitting right in front of his big block of warriors, which is just awesome because now they can't charge me, which is really, really, really great. But I really hated losing my level 4. He's got a level 4 with the stabby dagger. That means on all the low-level spells, he can throw 1 die at it, and if he doesn't roll well, kill a warrior and throw another die at it, and it makes his magic phase very, very effective. So now I am at a very distinct disadvantage in the magic phase. So we go to Dark Elf turn 1. His Cold One Knights charge my general's unit. Because I didn't have any buffs on the unit, and he didn't need much to get to me, I think he needed to roll an 8 or something like that, I decided to flee, and I fled 2 inches. I was going to be so mad, but he still needed, I think at this point, he needed like a 10 to get to me, and he didn't get it, thank goodness. But with 3 dice, he easily could have got the 10, and that would have been tough. So overall, the board looks like that. He rallies his crossbows. Looks at it. His harpies couldn't fly. They just kind of moved out of the river and moved up a little bit at the top left. He brings his fast cav around. These guys are going to be a real thorn in my side now because I can't charge them. I'm not going to be able to win any kind of shooting war with my Ungor Raiders. The Raiders can't charge him, which I would have just to try to get lucky. And if he gets behind my lines, he's going to be able to mess with my level 1s. So now during the magic phase, again, it was real tough. He cast from the Lore of Fire, I think it's called something Fire Cage, where basically if a unit moves at all, they take a strength 4 hit on everyone in the unit, and he casts it on this unit of mine that's fleeing. So the only thing I can think of if I don't want to withstand that is if I rally, don't reform, just stay. But I don't know if that would have been valid or not, because if I don't move my guys, is it still a reform? Is rallying a reform? I don't know. Otherwise, the board looks like that. And we go to Beastmen turn 2. So my general's unit fails its rally test. It needed a 10, failed it, and look at the bottom left. It killed more than it devastated the unit. Yeah, that was rough. So over here, what I'm trying to do to win this game, especially now when I feel like I'm losing a lot of points worth of stuff compared to what he has, it's a watchtower scenario. I just need to control the hill. So I took my Razor Gore up top just to try to mess with his Cold One Knights. I mean, I might be able to get a charge on them later on and have him support. And I was thinking, you know what? If they do get the charge on them, if nothing else, they're all the way at the side of the board, and they may not be able to help too much in the center of the board, which is where the game is going to be won or lost. Yeah, there's that fulminating flame cage. That thing was just brutal. Over here, my lone remaining chariot went ahead and charged his crossbows again. The hill we counted as +1 cover, so he only did 1 wound on me. I got in there. I know he's going to be steadfast, but you know, just thought I'd try it. I think I might have charged with my Gore unit as well, and or my Minotaurs, and they just didn't make it. If you look at the top, my Ungor Raiders charged as Harpies. Again, he took his wizard and put her in the same unit that the level 4 is in. So there's nothing for those Ungor Raiders to do, but if I can get those Harpies off the table, that'd be great. I don't need them flying back behind my lines. And after combat, yeah, so the chariot won combat against the crossbows, and they failed their steadfast. The BSB was not within range. They fled. The chariot overran into the Harpy combat, helped win that, and when that was done, they just reformed. In hindsight, I don't know if they could have done some kind of overrun to try to get those crossbows, but I don't think so. I think my Ungor Raiders were facing the wrong way, and my chariot would have just hit my own guys. So I wasn't able to run down the crossbows, although I did try. I was really hoping I would have ran them down after the first combat. So anyway, they just reform. This marker at the bottom left, I mean, that's what's going to win or lose the game. And so I'm just looking at those Blackguard, and I love that they're facing away from that. So I'm thinking if I can just use my Razor Gores to keep them, just sacrifice them one at a time to keep the Blackguard away from this hill, that would be just wonderful. So we go to Dark Elf turn 2, and I don't know why his Blackguard are like they are. I don't know if that was a failed charge. I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a failed charge or if he forgot to move him or what. But anyway, his Dark Riders are now behind my lines, threatening my level 1s. His Cold One Knights get the charge into my Dragon Ogre, my Razor Gore, I'm sorry. And, I mean, they're just going to waste this guy. But they're all the way at the side of the table, which is just great. Otherwise, he reforms his big block. It looks kind of wonky because he hasn't really moved all the models yet, but basically he reformed to be 5 wide because he couldn't move through. He couldn't move through right there. And otherwise, his crossbows rally, and the board looks like that. Yeah, killed the Razor Gore very, very easily. And we go to Beastmen turn 3. So luckily, during the last magic phase, I got rid of the fulminating fire cage, rallied my general's unit, and then took both level 1s and moved them in the unit so that the Dark Riders can't just pick them off. Yeah, my Ungor Raiders are shooting at them. They can't hit anything. Can't hit the side of a barn. Otherwise, the rest of my line, I'm just in a nice battle line. I kind of like that. This is turn 3 right now, and I like the looks of it in terms of I think I have stuff there that can get rid of, that can tie up his warrior unit, and his Blackguard are facing the wrong way. So I'm very happy with that. And I'm pausing because I'm wondering if he reformed the Blackguard, and I just don't remember. He may have, yeah, hell, I don't know. It's hard to remember a game from 4 days ago with just the pictures. Anyway, I bring my Razor Gores around. In hindsight, I wish that the chariot had stayed facing the crossbows. I mean, I knew they were going to rally. I could have just charged them again and finished them off. Anyway, it's facing the Blackguard. I got both my Razor Gores over there. I think if I charge into him, he's just going to kill my guys before I can even attack him. So, with the exception of impact hits, there's really not a whole lot of good going to come from that. But what I can do and what I plan on doing is just using those guys to keep his Blackguard away from the hill. Starting next turn, we start rolling at the end of every round, and if we roll the right number, the game ends, and I'll win the game. And that's really the only way I think I have of winning it at this point. Maybe not, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Move to his turn. He brings his Dark Riders around, just being a thorn in my side. He now reforms his battle line. You see, he brings his Cold Wind Knights up. He reforms back into Horde formation with his warriors. His Blackguard turned to face the hill. We're counting those stony parts at the end of the hill as kind of like a scree slope. So if he can charge over it, but he might just lose a guy or two. His crossbows charge into the rear of my chariot, and here's where I'm really kicking myself. I just let him there. I let him rally, and now they get this easy charge. They're not going to kill him through wounds, but through combat res, it's just going to be a hassle. So there's another look. And there's a look down his battle lines. I think he did a great job of reforming his battle lines like that, keeping his guys together. I was so excited to see his Cold Wind Knights all the way at the far end of the table, but you know what? In 8th edition, you can get back into the fray, and I'm really liking that about 8th edition. So we go to Beastmen turn 4. When my general leaves the Gore unit that has both my level 1s, and he moves up into the Bestigors. They had some kind of hex on them. I think it might have been -1 to hit. And so I didn't really... Ultimately, I want them to face his Cold Wind Knights. I'd rather get the charge. I may have even tried to charge. I forgot what happened there. Either way, I either didn't charge or I failed it. My general joins that unit. So now if the Cold Wind Knights come in, he's going to kill a bunch of my guys, but I think I'll kill a bunch of his as well. I charge the Minotaurs into the warrior unit, and that could be very exciting for me or very bad because there's a lot of strength 3 attacks coming at him. So there's that. But that's another reason I play the Beastmen. I love Minotaurs. I mean, I don't like some of the rules about them, but they can you roll a lot of dice. And so here I have Razor Gore number 1, making it so I was trying to get it so the Blackguard couldn't charge around him, but as you can see, I did just an epic fail of a job there. But anyway, that was my intent, is to get him as a roadblock so they can charge into him, and they can kill him, and then they can reform. But that's all they can do that turn. And then I have the other Razor Gore out of harm's way, so on my next turn I can move him around to be another speed bump. I just need to keep the Blackguard away from my unit on that hill. So after combat, he only did 5 wounds on my Minotaurs, which I felt very fortunate about. I don't know what odds are there, but anyway, he did 5. I killed a ton of his guys, broke them, which, I mean, they were steadfast, 9 rerollable, and I broke them. But then I couldn't run them down. But I don't expect to run anything down with my Minotaurs. So now my Minotaurs are a little bit frenzied, which is kind of nice. I like that the middle of his line is now collapsed, and his Blackguard are at least, not having all the support that they did have otherwise. Go to Dark Elf turn 4. So I think he would have charged his Cold Wind Knights into my Minotaurs, but he just barely couldn't see him. So he went ahead and took him my General's unit. He wasn't fearing me one bit. His Blackguard at the top left charged into the Razor Gore. And I think there's no way my Razor Gores can survive, but if he can survive and keep him in combat, then I'm thrilled. If he again, even if he doesn't, and then they reform, I can take my other Razor Gore, bring him around, and keep his Blackguard away from that hill. And this is turn 4. The game could end after his turn. And so right now I'm thinking, there's still a decent chance of winning this. After combat. So the Razor Gore is dead. His Cold Knights came into my General's unit and just killed a ton of Bestigor. We only killed, we killed 5 of them back, so I was pretty happy about that. But it just didn't matter. He killed enough, but luckily he didn't chase him down, didn't run him down. One thing I didn't have a picture of, I forgot to show, was his Dark Riders charged into the rear of my Gore unit with 2 level 1s. He was just hoping to get lucky. That unit's not that strong. I think he won, I was steadfast, and then I reformed. So you can see that going on at the bottom. So Beastmen turn 5, my general's unit rallies. So I'm not happy that they didn't beat the Coldwind Knights, but you know what? There's all those points are still on the table. And again, no matter what happens down here, if his Coldwind Knights come down here, they're away from the center of the table, and it's all a moot point, because all that matters is who controls that center. So we're still duking it out here. If you look at the top, I bring the Razor Gore around and put him as a speed bump in front of the Blackguard. So I don't know why. Yeah, when I put him there, what that does is it forces them into the flank of the Razor Gore. If he beats them, he can reform and face my lines, which is kind of scary because I don't have a whole lot left to put in front of him. He can overrun and get into the flank of the Minotaurs, which likely would spell the end of the Minotaurs, but would put him really, facing the wrong way on the wrong side of combat, on the wrong side of that hill. So it looks something like that. So after combat, I was horribly disappointed with these Gores. They killed one Darkwind Rider, and then he held. So yeah, so my 2 level 1s are about to die from his Coldwind Knights in the rear. So we go to Dark Elf turn 5. He charges in the rear of that unit. Again, that's not necessarily game changing, but it certainly doesn't help trying to keep those mages alive. He charges the Razor Gore up by the hill. We're still duking it out with the Minotaurs. Yeah, that's what those guys get. Really, guys? So here's this. You notice he isn't losing a whole lot. He had some kind of hex on my guys. I think is -1 to hit or something like that. Whatever it is. But I didn't lose a lot of guys either, so we're great there. And that's after the magic phase. Look at all those hexes. This game was actually very educational for me. I really felt that my opponent played the magic phase by far better than I did, and I think I learned from it a little bit. But in this phase, he got the miasma, the flaming sword of ruin. He got the oh, I forgot what the other spell is, but he had all these spells in effect. And at that point, I think the other one was that he reduced the toughness on the Minotaurs. But at that point, I'm like, wow, that unit's gone. All I can hope for is to keep the center of the table. Hopefully they were enough of distraction. Yeah, so anyway, so his Blackguard killed the Razor Gore, overran into the flank of the Minotaurs, destroyed the Minotaurs. I mean, I'm sure I don't know if he killed him down to a man or to a beast, or if the warriors ran him down somehow. But whatever it was, his Blackguard then reformed to face the hill, and his level 4 is free. I was trying to kill that level 4 every round of combat, never could. And yeah, he's there sitting there full points. Coldwind Knights make easy work of my Gore unit, so it's destroyed. They're off the board, so I can't countercharge them. Go to Beastmen turn 6. There's nothing for my general's unit to do except sit there and wait for the Coldwind Knights to come on. I take the BSB. If you look at the top left, I take him out of the Gore unit. I want him available for a reroll. I don't want to take the chance of him getting killed in combat. And at this point, I'm realizing, yeah, I needed the game to end on turn 4 or end on turn 5, and it didn't. So now his Blackguard are going to be able to charge over the top of the hill into my Gore unit, and my money would be on him winning that. So there's all that. His turn, he comes on the board. It's not going to matter. He gets the charge. The only thing that matters for this whole game is that charge. If he wins, and he should, he's got the game no matter if the game ends or not, because he's got the hill and he's going to kill me everywhere else. If I somehow got lucky and beat the Blackguard, then I would of course win the game. But that's not likely. And after his magic phase, it's really not likely. So yeah, there was nothing left of that unit. They were totally destroyed. He wins the game. He wins it because of the hill, but points wise, he was crushing me. So that was it. A humbling of the Beastmen. I realize I do not know how to play this army yet, but I think this game was good for me. I feel like I just had a better feel for the magic phase. I think he did a good job with it, especially using the Dark Elf, little tricks they have to be able to use. So there you have it, the Dark Elf slaughtering of the Beastmen. Hope you enjoyed it.